Hello, awesome folks. I hope you're having an amazing day today. Today we're taking a look at the novel War of the Wizards, the fourth book and the final book in the World of Lone Wolf miniseries that we've been taking a look at for you folks. It's written by the band leader Ian Page, and it was edited by Joe Dever, the guy who also wrote the original Wolf stuff. So we're going to be going ahead and taking a look at this short story. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It's a nice epic conclusion, but like the first three books, it's pretty short. And so you can read this book in probably about an hour. It took me about 55 minutes for me last night, and I had like just 4 combats. It was pretty. So you don't have to get back. You don't get bogged down a lot of things in there. Were a few sections that felt longer. And it has more than the than typically expected 350 sections in it for you, but just 10 more. It's not like it's not like 50 more like the end of the first Kai series, the Shadow on the Sea, or anything like that, right? Which has 50 sections, so it's a 400 section epic. It doesn't add in those sorts of things to it. It's shorter. So you can read this entire series of 4 books in less than 4 hours, because none of them took me an hour for me to read it. So you could probably read it like 3 hours and a half or so forth. I read this for the second time now, after having read it when I was a kid, when it came out in the mid-'80s. And I just now read it for the second time on a website for free called projectaeon.com, which I'll link you to in the comments below, as a millennial gift for his fans. Joe Dever, the guy who edited the series and wrote the Magnum and stuff, he gave these things away to his fans. So they have an online website for free that you can read these things. I've never read the World of Lone Wolf stuff. I've never gone back and read it. So I felt that there was some value in doing that, so I'll link you to that one below. I'll also try to find this for you on Amazon, so you can buy it on the secondary market if you want to have this soft cover book just like I did. But I've only read it once, and you can still see how beat up it is, because game books where you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on page to page to page to page to page, and they get more wear and tear than a normal book does. So as you can see, I've only read this once, but you can still see how beat up War of the Wizards is, right? But it's a lot of fun. So this game book series that we've been going back and looking at, and this is now the 24th book in this series that we have reviewed for you, is something that I think has a lot of value to it. And one of the reasons why it became so successful financially is because it is a different sort of idea. You're keeping the same character from book to book to book. You are telling the same story from book to book to book, just a different chapter. You're keeping the things you find in the book. You're keeping the money you find that you ended with, and you're starting with more money so you can gain money over time. You are keeping your skills that you started with and adding a skill. As you show yourself leveling up in the second 2 series, your skills will level up over time, right, and so forth. Now your first book series that we did the first 20 books from, you're playing a Psychic Ranger. So you are the last of the Kai Lords after an ambush at the beginning of the first book. So for example, you have psychic abilities like the ability to attack people mentally, Mind Blast, the ability to defend yourself, Mind Shield, Sixth Sense to detect things Sixth Sensely, Mind Over Matter to move teams telekinetically. Then you have Ranger abilities like tracking and hunting and camouflage and weapons skill and animal kinship, right, and these sorts of things. So you're a Psychic Ranger, and the last of your kind. Here you're a wizard, and so you start off with 7 magics. You can take 5 of them, and after you advance the first book or second book, you don't get any more. Going into the third book, either 6 magics, you can get another magic. You also gain more willpower. Third stat you have, normally you would have combat skill to fight, and skills and endurance points to show how much damage you can take, and then heal. But here you're getting a third ability called willpower, that fuels your magical abilities as well as your staff that you use in combat. And then you can, if you want, going into you also get more willpower too, which is pretty cool too. Then in the 4th book they add a higher level of magics that you can take too, in addition to the lower magics. So you level up. You also start with a lot more willpower, 50. And then you also start with a lot more endurance points. So it begins this epic conclusion. And again, I talked about how tight these series are. Here is what you were told was going to be happening in the first book, right, in the prelude to the first book. You are a child of the Chianti, been trained by the Chianti, but you're not one of their race. You wind up on their island, being tossed there as a baby, and they take you in as a human, and they raise you as one of their own, and they show you the powers of their magic on the Isle of Lorne. And now, but the problem is that they have created a nasty, powerful, super powerful artifact called the Moonstone, which is a good artifact, and it's very, very powerful. In fact, it's so powerful and so dominating in history that the calendar of this fantasy world is basically before the creation of the Moonstone, and then after the creation of the Moonstone. Anyway. So that's pretty cool. That's how big a deal it was, and it's been sent to a shadow plane called the Dazierne, so that nobody can get to it and bring it back. Okay, but one of their number, the Witch King, has become really super bad and taken over a nearby empire, and he's like really nasty, right? So that therefore is the issue. You're going to go. The idea is you're going to go find this member of this lost tribe, who can see where the entrance to the shadow plane is, and then you're going to go to where the entrance is, and then you're going to go to the shadow plane and find the Moonstone, bring the Moonstone back from the Dazierne, the shadow plane, and then take out the big bad. Okay, so that's what you're told is going to happen at the beginning, and that is exactly what happens. First book, find the member of the lost tribe. Second book, find the portal. Third book, find a Moonstone in the plane. Fourth book, find and take out the big bad. It's that simple, right? So anyway, so seeing how well played out that what you're told actually does. This book is the confrontation between you and the big bad, and a lot of epic things are going to happen, and it feels like a suitably epic conclusion, which is why I'm giving it a 7. Even though when I give the first 3 6 pluses, like a 6.2 or 6.3, I think this is probably more like a proper 7, because it definitely ratchets it up. It feels much more epic than the first 3, or even, the first one you're just trying to find a member of a lost tribe. The second one you're just wandering from point A to point B. Right? It doesn't feel that epic in scale like the books that this world is set in. Now, it's set on an opposite side of the world. From North Magnemund, where this is set in the coastal areas, to Southern Magnemund, down by the fall side. So it's like thousands of years away. Yep, thousands of years away. Thousands of miles away, rather. So it has an epic amount of distance between the two. You could not be further apart and still in the same area of the continent. But there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Again, I try to keep my reviews spoiler free, so if you want to talk about spoilers in the comments below, let's do so. I also try to find these books that I've read as a part of this reviews for this channel, for books that I read once when I was a kid and have not read or high school, a teenager, and I've not read since, in order to come back and tell you what I think of it now as somebody who's 45 and coming back from it with decades of value. I think there's a lot of value in doing that and seeing what I think about it retrospectively. So I also encourage you to do that. Also, as a reminder, this channel's title is The Worst Thing About New Books, which is a famous quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who says that the worst thing about new books is that they keep us from reading the old ones. So I generally like to go back and try to find these older books, or older short stories, or older novellas in the pulp era, or centuries ago, and in this case the mid-80s, right? So there's a lot of value, I think. So it also synergizes with what the channel's trying to do too. So anyway, there you go. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read War of the Worlds by Ian Page and edited by Joe Dever? If so, what did you think about it? Did you agree or disagree with my 7 out of 10? Would you like to talk about it in the comments below? Let's do so. If you enjoyed this video, hey, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.